Matthew Malcolm with Pacific Nut Producer Magazine, reporting to you from the annual Tree and Vine Expo held at the Stanislaus County Fairgrounds. One of the great features of our annual events is the state of the industry for so many different nut commodities and grapes and tree fruit. And one of our featured speakers today, I'm really excited, came all the way from Texas. Her name's Warden. She is the CEO of the American Pecan Council and the Pecan Promotion Board as well. And so I wanted to speak with you specifically about how our pecan industry is doing from a nationwide perspective. Maybe what growers in California can expect in the near future as to whether or not also if they're interested in investing in pecans.
Great question. So we're going into the harvest, which just started this past month. Looking really.
So we're talking about starting November, October?
It actually can start as early as September, but primarily starts in October and can go the whole way through February to March, kind of moving across the country. Quality is looking really good. The crop is going to be a little shorter than we anticipated, but everything is looking good. There is a very tight supply as we go into this harvest. One of the great things about pecans is we sell every pecan that we have. So we're going in with a tight supply. What our challenge is making sure that our growers are getting a suitable price. So we're really focused on trying to increase the value of pecans because it's been a hard couple of past years. Some of the ways that we're doing that is learning from our other nut brethren by focusing in on the nutritional value. We're investing a lot in nutrition research, but also trying to move pecans into more occasions. We are known for the pecan pie, but that means there's a big spike around the holidays and then we flatten out throughout the rest of the year. We need to bump up demand throughout the year in order to keep prices high. We're doing that by getting people to focus on snacking pecans, by moving them more into restaurants and food service, finding more uses for pecans. But also another trick we're taking from the other nuts is really expanding our export markets. You know, the U.S. consumes the vast majority of pecans. In fact, we consume so much in the U.S. they have to import pecans from Mexico to cover it. We consume far more than we produce here in the U.S. And so, but we're also focused on pushing pecans around the world where we can increase the value. We've focused on Europe. There's a lot of potential there. We've seen growth, as well as emerging markets like India, the Middle East, and so there's a ton of potential. Prices are looking stronger this year for our growers, for those that have started contracting. So we're seeing some really hopeful signs that this is going to be a good year.
That's great. Now, when you think about the export market and what form they're enjoying pecans outside of America, like you mentioned pecan pie, and this is November when we're having this interview. It's that prime time of the year that harvest is going in conjunction with eating pecan pie, which is perfect. Is that what you're seeing overseas? What are our overseas consumers doing with pecans?
Good question. So the westernizing of diets is happening around the world, but as a consumer marketer, we know to focus in on what fits within that culture. So in Germany, for example, there's a heavy love of pastries and other confectionaries, so we focus in on that. In the UK, we're seeing a rise in nuts for snacking, and so we're working on that distribution. In India, there's a heavy focus on gift giving, and nuts is a premium gift that you can give to your family and friends, and so we're seeing a lot of pecan sales happening there. So, you know, pecans are such a versatile product. They have that unique taste, but they hold up really well whether they're eaten raw or whether they're baked or dried, and so they can fit into a ton of different cuisines, which makes it really easy. I mean, we've seen them in lots of different places on menus, and we think there's so much more potential.
And I know from the get-go, Pecan Council and the promotion board have really promoted the fact that this is the native nut, right, of America, right?
It is. So we are the only native tree nut to the United States. There are still native pecans growing throughout areas like Oklahoma, Texas, Arkansas. It's such a big part of our American history. In fact, as we get closer to our country's 250th anniversary, we have pecan trees that are older than our country. And so it really is something we can celebrate here. It is the perfect thing to have on the Thanksgiving table, but don't forget that you can use those leftover pecans for all kinds of other dishes throughout the year.
Well, we really appreciate the unified efforts of the organization through these two organizations that you head up on the national side. So this is really amazing. This these organizations haven't been around too long, but you guys have done a lot of work just in, what are we, 5 years in, 6? Or?
A little bit longer for the American Pecan Council. But what you got to remember is that we're grown commercially across 15 U.S. states with lots of different production techniques and soil profiles and pests that they're dealing with. It's a big deal that they all banded together. But in addition, really brought the entire supply chain together. So on the American Pecan Council, we have both growers and shellers and accumulators representing the industry that allows us to have some of those conversations that will help grow the industry as a whole. In addition, the American Pecan Promotion Board also includes assessments that come in from imported pecans. So we're able to have conversations with some of the benefits of getting pecans from Mexico, but also some of the challenges that brings to our growers. And so we really are able to look at it at a global scale. The industry is very motivated. We may be small here in California, but we've got a lot of momentum behind us.
Awesome. Well, we really appreciate it. I think it means a lot you coming here to speak at these localized industry events. So thank you so much. Read more about these things in Pacific Nut Producer Magazine. I'm Matthew Malcolm, CaliforniaAgNet.com.